Hello, everyone, and welcome to another elite episode of the Get Authentic with Marques show. My name is Marques Ogden. On today's episode, we are joined by Larry Vivola. But before bringing up Larry to the stage, I want to thank one of our amazing sponsors, Tactical Harmony, owned by Rebecca Fitzsimmons. Rebecca brings to the table her wisdom in leadership, in business, from her time working in law enforcement, working in corporate America, to help organizations and help people elevate to the highest level possible. We thank Tactical Harmony and Rebecca Fitzsimmons for sponsoring this episode. Now, here he is, Larry. How you doing today, Larry?
Fantastic. Good morning. Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here. Thank you for having me.
No problem, my friend Larry. We've connected a while back through, one of my academies and what we've been up to and been staying in touch with each other. You came out to our Vegas Academy back in 2019.
Right.
You got some great stuff going on. But first question, okay, Larry, what does the word authentic / authenticity mean to Larry?
It absolutely means everything. And the first thing that pops up is just the real deal. That's why I like to surround myself with people. I tend to think of myself like that. It's, we all have flaws, we all have everything. And I do see as we get older and more confident, I see people becoming more authentic and more authentic. So I just love the real deal. That's what it means to me.
You talk about as we get older, we get more and more authentic. Can you elaborate on that? Because I really want people that are, as they're getting older, sometimes people feel the need, like, maybe they don't have people in their life that they want. Maybe their life didn't work out the way they wanted, or they're still trying to make some corrections or tweaks or pivots. And what happens is they tend to think, well, my life didn't turn out so far the way I wanted. Maybe I should try to be somebody else. Maybe I should try to be somebody that I know I'm not, or worse yet, right? Like somebody that I know I can't sustain be. Talk about how as we get older, we should get more confident and more courageous in who we truly are.
Right. And I would, that's a great point. And I think, it's exhausting just being us every day. I feel bad for somebody trying to be somebody else. I'm exhausted just being me every day. But, I tell you this quick story. When I was about 47 years old, I was like, wow, going to hit 50 years old. And I thought I'd always be nervous about that. And turning 50 was one of the greatest things that ever happened to me in my life because I was no longer worried about what other people thought or realized that, hey, not everybody has to like me. Sometimes I don't even like me. So, just relax. It was just a relaxing moment and I just appreciate it so much.
I love that. So, Larry, tell us a bit more about yourself, where you're from, what you're currently doing now to help your amazing clients.
Yeah, so the accent is from Brooklyn, New York. Spent my first 39 years there in Brooklyn, New York, and now I reside in Scottsdale, Arizona for the last 19 years. And I am a business coach, so I'm preaching to the choir about the power of coaching, right? And I'm honored every single day that I get to work with business owners that are always looking to push it, always looking to improve, to change their life, to change their employees' lives, and just make it better and better every day.
What's very interesting is you are from New York, now living in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Yep.
You talk about business coaching and how you're very honored to work with clients in that regard. Give us a bit more detail, right, Larry? When people come to you, when business owners come to you, first question, what is usually their biggest challenge when they hire you for your services?
So it changes for every single client. Every entrepreneur has different needs. Not everybody wants to be, $100 million company. Sometimes it's about quality of life. okay, that they're too, that they're stressed out, or the business is running them and that they're not running the business. They can't take vacation sometimes because it's too hectic, or they're not making enough money. And it's just challenging. But most of the time, I would have to say, the common thread of all my clients is they have this burning desire to go from good to great. Like they know they're knocking out a ballpark, but they're just top performers, man. They just want to keep better. They believe in self-development and they just want to keep improving. They have insatiable appetite to keep getting better and better.
Ladies and gentlemen, see, that's the type of individuals that are going to be primed for greatness. When you realize that you're good, but you realize that you're not great, or you realize you could be better. Now that's something. So, for example, I remember when Andre Collins, who played in the NFL, he was an outside linebacker for the Washington Redskins and Chicago Bears, played at Penn State. Andre met me through the NFL Retired Players Association, knew about me, of course, my brother, my time in the NFL. Andre said, hey, Marcus, there's this program up at Penn State that is being put on. It's called NAPSA, National Athletic Professional Success Academy. And it's by Brad Mitchell and his team. And they handpicked 7 guys through looking at our data and our information that they thought would be a great fit for this program. You were the #1 person they wanted to have in the program. I remember telling Andre, I think I'm good, I'm okay, I need to pass. And he said, okay, Marcus, you know what? That's a great response. You are good, but you're not great. If you want to be great, go to this program. And if you go to this program and you work hard and you graduate and do what you're supposed to do, I'll hire you to speak for us in Miami to some of our retired players, and I'll pay you if you graduate and if you give it your all. I went to the program, best thing I've ever done, and I still have that NAPSA binder on my desk. I still use it in my coaching. And again, that was a great, great example of being good, but I wasn't great. So now you identify that you want to go from good to great. Got it. What do you provide? What solutions do you provide your clients that allow them to knock it out of the ballpark?
So it's never ending. There's all different shit. So I break every business down into a certain amount of categories, 9 different categories. It could be my attorney clients. It could be a contractor. I work with all types of business, but in the back end, we have sales, we have marketing, we have human resource, we have leadership. And when I start working with a client, we take an assessment of where they are in their business, okay? And then we map out a blueprint. And what we try and do is just make small improvements in all those major categories in the business. If it's human resources, a lot of times right now, there's a lot of challenge, people not being able to find the proper employees right now for growth and the bottleneck. So we make some changes on that. Same thing with sales and marketing. Little increases on increasing the conversion rate in sales or more leads. So when I say there's no crystal ball, but a little, it's like, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? So it's like a little improvement here, a little improvement here, a little improvement here. And before you know it, their business is absolutely transformed.
Ladies and gentlemen, what's the old saying? The 1,000-mile journey begins with the first step. Period.
Absolutely.
And I love what Larry's saying, because in order to become great, you have to put in the work every single day. There is no taking a day off. There is no not moving the needle forward, right? Inspiration moves mountains, right? And I love that, because end of the day, right, it's all about our ability to not make excuses and just get the results. And we have to put the work in. So again, ladies and gentlemen, as you heard Larry say, it's about taking those steps where you eat an elephant one bite at a time. And that's the whole process. So Larry, let's now get into you mentioned a couple of things, right? Like, marketing, sales. I believe there are five key elements to any successful business: branding, marketing, sales, operations, finance. I want to really talk about branding here in this segment because hiring a coach, the first thing I do with my clients, if you have a business, right, we really get into the nuts and bolts of what does your brand stand for? What is your mission? What is your mantra? What do you want to be known for? What's going to help you to stand out and or separate from the herd? How do you help
Mhm.
teach your clients, Larry, to quote unquote brand themselves so that they can quote unquote stand out from the herd?
Right, and that actually reverts to your opening question here. And what I always speak about is just being authentic. Being authentic, just be your true self. People see that. People see when people are being fake. So my first thing when it comes to branding is just be yourself. You're not going to be for everybody. Steve Jobs has a famous quote, if you want to make everybody happy, sell ice cream. You know, so just be authentic. Be authentic, and people will gravitate towards you, and some people won't. And that's okay because we can't be for everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, as you heard him say, it's all about, hey, you know who you are, be who you are, and that's okay. And you are enough. And when you recognize that, when you understand that, when you actually live by that motto, great things are on the horizon. So, Larry, I want to talk about something I haven't talked about on the podcast yet. So, you and I, as coaches, understand that systems are so important to help you build anything in life, personally and or professionally. Now, I have an acronym for systems, okay? The first letter, right? Sorry, the first letter is S. The first word is save. So here's my question, right, Larry? How do you help people preserve, conserve resources by showing them how setting up a system is going to help them do that? How do you help people see, right, Larry, that again, set up a system, if they do it and or when they do it, it allows them to preserve and conserve resources in that capacity?
Right, and that's a fantastic question. I have a franchise background. Okay, I franchised my previous business. I spent years in the franchise world, and I could swap out the word system for the word franchise almost at any time. When you look at McDonald's, right, everybody thinks franchise when it's McDonald's, but it's a system. And there's no way a restaurant business like McDonald's would be able to operate like the way they do without systems. If we have to rethink every thought and everything we do, there's just not enough bandwidth. So I am the biggest fan of systems. Okay. Because when we have the system, you let the system run it. You're not people dependent. You could throw anybody in a system, okay, and that system will work. You don't need that rock star super employee or somebody like that. It's like we'll be dead without that person if they don't do it. That's because you don't have a system. Okay, so when I look at the franchise world, I say that's everything that you see in the franchise world is a system.
Love it. So again, what I'm hearing Larry say is that you can preserve and conserve by getting things in place where it operates itself. So the why of system is yourself. And I tell people, if you don't take care of yourself, if you don't give yourself self-care, if you don't invest into your own peace of mind, serenity, things that you like to do, then the system at some point will break down because you feel like you're constantly just moving and going and all these things, and you're not taking any time for yourself. How do you try to teach your clients, Larry, about investing and taking time to invest in themselves and their own self-development?
Well, like I said before, it's part of it when my clients when and and I say this, I've been coaching for 15 years right now, and I would say there's only a very small part of the entrepreneur population that is right for coaching, because investing in self-development, hard-earned money into coaching, an intangible asset, is a very, very difficult thing. So it becomes quite easy, because the people that I found, the people that I work with, my amazing clients that I work with, they already know to invest in themselves. They're at a higher level of thought and understanding that self-development is the greatest thing that we can invest in. And a lot of people don't feel like that. They rather have the fancy car, they rather have the name brand this and the name brand that. They rather invest on stuff that people see and to show off and stuff. And then you have some people that like, you know what? The 6 inches in between my ears, man, that's the most important thing that I could invest in.
Yes, it is, because when you invest in your mind and your how you operate your whole body, I feel great things happen. The S in system is stress. I tell people, when you have a great system in place, stress gets reduced. When you don't have a system in place, stress is high, you're anxious. And it's funny, right, Larry? For almost
Yep.
12 years, we didn't have a system, and we had things kind of all over the place. This Google Doc and that Google Doc and this form and that form. Hiring a marketing specialist, Tara LaFon Gooch, she came in, helped us to grow our podcast following through more marketing and outreach. And now we have a system through our CRM platform, and my stress has gone way down and keeps going down and down, because I can go to one location, look at speaking jobs, any type of nurture system, pipeline, content, you name it. I can find almost anything in our business now there. How do you teach people about mitigating and reducing stress by getting a system in place?
No, the first thing that I talk about is, every single day, we only have a certain amount of energy to make decisions. We make thousands of decisions a day, right? And if we're repeating the same stuff that could be built by a system, then we don't have the energy to think about the great stuff that we want to do, right? To re-answer, to constantly answer the same question and the same thing without a system, it's just a complete waste of energy, and it's stressful, right?
Which takes us, and Larry, that takes us to the next point, time, right?
Right.
Warren Buffett says, no matter how much money I make, I can never buy time. It doesn't matter how much I make, doesn't matter how much I do. I cannot stop time. Nobody can. And this is why systems are going to give you time back. How do you showcase to people? Because again, right, Larry, it is a lot of time to set it up in the beginning. I understand that. Oh, I don't have
Right.
time, Marcus. I don't have the resource, Marcus. I understand that. I didn't either when I was going through this, but I found the time. And by finding the time, now that we had this in place, I'm getting a lot of my time back on the back end. So talk about how this is so big, right, Larry? Systems help you to save time, which is something that no matter who you are and how much money you make, you can't buy that back.
Right. That's the thing. That's the thing we all have in common, right? From the richest person in the world, nobody could stop time, right? It's the most important thing we have. There's no, I mean, asset other than time, right? And it's the most precious thing. So when you talk about that, it's very quickly that people see that when you build a system and they have more energy and they don't have to think about it, they see the benefits right away. And what you said also is was a great point, is to build systems, to sit down and to write systems is very time consuming, is very challenging, it's very difficult. So what I do a lot of times is I teach my clients to reverse engineer it. Not that we have to sit down and go build a system, sit down for 3, 4 hours and build, a bunch of SOPs for every single thing. As we're working, okay, or as their employees are doing, we're taking notes and we're reverse engineering that system. Okay. And then before you know it, okay, it's a living, well, the other key thing, it's a living, breathing document. Some people think you just write a system, put it on the shelf like an operations manual. No, with today's technology, a Google Doc and everything like that, we're constantly adding to it, changing it. It's a living, breathing machine system because things change all the time. So before you know it, if you put in just a little bit of time every single day, before you know it, you could have every business could have a system. There's no excuse for not having a system for everything.
If and our team can build a system, I who sucked at it, who had no idea how to use our CRM, and we just had it to and kind of, I had a little bit of things in there like pipeline stuff, really, I mean, small stuff, but now
Right.
everything is kind of migrating there. Our wait list form, our nurture system, people that want to come onto our podcast, reaching out to podcast sponsors through automation, reaching out to people through cold email outreach. All of it is now being built into the system. And the last two is right, Larry, I took no time. When you have the right system, you are good at conserving energy and you're not wasting money. So, energy and money. Tell people how, when they have the right system, they have more energy to do what I call high revenue generating activities, which allows them to save and invest money where it needs to be invested.
Right. So you just said, a high revenue activity. If you built a system, I'll just give you the example with sales. Okay. If that CRM is going and everything is moving on and you have a system and it's producing results, what I work with my clients. If we could do that once, if we could get a salesperson in the business to work a system, then what's stopping us from adding a second salesperson and a third salesperson? Okay. The system becomes scalable and repeatable, and that's where we get monstrous growth. Okay. And then what happens when we have a system, if it's working for a group of people, then it should work for the next person. Okay. So we're able to measure it, we're able to improve it. So that's one of the big deals about making money. The system is what runs it. It's a machine.
Ladies and gentlemen, again, we're about 90% done with setting up our system for everything through our CRM. And so once that's done, we're having a meeting with our team and we're going to have everybody get into position and we're going to have our sales team repeat the process over and over again. And as the system starts to work, we'll scale at the next person with the same system, same SOPs, and everybody wins. Larry,
Right.
great interview. How can people get in touch with you if they want to find out more information?
So my website is Inline Business Advisors, or my name, Larry Vivola. I put out videos on TikTok, Instagram. Business is my life. So, even if they're not right for coaching, I give some valuable information because entrepreneurs, they are my people, man. They are my people. I love entrepreneurs. I love business. And I look forward to helping as many people as I can.
Look forward to it. Ladies and gentlemen, reach out to Larry, connect with him. Great guy, great energy. We want to thank Tactical Harmony and Rebecca Fitzsimmons for sponsoring this episode. And the authentic tip of this great interview: in your business, build the system. When the system is built correctly and is repeatable, that's when you scale. To scale, put everything in place. When you do that, greatness happens. Again, my name is Marques Ogden. I am the host of the Get Authentic with Marques show. Thanks for tuning in. Have a fantastic day.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
That was fantastic.
You were awesome, man. You're going to get an email from Danica Look forward to connecting with you on after that. Pick a time to connect, and we'll talk some more, Larry. You were fantastic, man. Thank you, sir.
Beautiful. All right. Talk to you soon.
See you
Thanks
soon,
again.
Larry. All right, bye.
Take it. Bye-bye.
Ben?
Recording stopped.
Everything good? That's okay. Skip, I think Skip said he's here. Well, he should be any minute anyway. Yeah, he said he okay. Okay, he's not there yet. People just don't pay attention. You don't see him yet? Is that your dog? Okay. And the number I dialed